Welcome to Waters World. I'm Jesse Waters. A December to remember. That's the subject of tonight's Waters Words. The annual White House Christmas tree lighting is always such a special event. Except Joe Biden, the president, seemingly forgot he was supposed to light it. Watch.
President Biden and First Lady Dr. Jill Biden.
This went on forever. No Joe. Maybe he thought Barack was going to light it. I don't know. These things just keep happening every single week. I kind of feel bad for LL. They needed to do a second take.
Sit down again, one more time. All right? Now, President Biden and First Lady Dr. Jill Biden.
So how are we supposed to feel confident the president can crush the virus when he can't even get it together for a Christmas tree lighting? This is a disaster. The new COVID-19 variant, Omicron, now spreading throughout the United States. I'm not worried about the new variant. I'm worried about how the government is going to overreact to the new variant. Biden's got a new plan, more masks, more testing. But unvaxxed illegals can just pour across the southern border without testing, without quarantining. And then Joe packs them onto planes and buses and sends them to your neighborhood. Does that make sense to anybody?
Dr. Fauci, as you advise the president about the possibility of new testing requirements for people coming into this country, does that include everybody?
Everybody who's coming into the country needs to get a test within 24 hours of getting on the plane to come here.
But what about people who don't take a plane and just these border crossers coming in huge numbers?
You know, that's a different issue.
If Fauci was serious about stopping COVID-19, he'd tell Joe Biden to stop the caravans. And Joe Biden might even listen to him. At this point, Fauci may as well be president.
I've seen more of Dr. Fauci than I have my wife. We kid each other, but they look, who's president? Fauci.
We're in deep trouble this December. Biden's so dismayed, though, that people are politicizing COVID.
I know COVID-19 has been very divisive in this country. It's become a political issue, which is a sad, sad commentary. It shouldn't be.
Biden literally got elected because he politicized COVID.
220,000 Americans dead. If you hear nothing else I say tonight, hear this. Anyone who's responsible for not taking control, in fact, not saying I take no responsibility initially, anyone who's responsible for that many deaths should not remain as President of the United States of America.
Now, there's been more deaths in 2021 than in all of 2020. So, by Joe's own logic, he shouldn't remain president. Joe Biden got dealt a huge blow in court. All his vax mandates were blocked. And then he suspended his own federal vax mandates until after the holidays. Holidays where shoppers can just get the gifts they want, right? Well, I went to go buy an iPad mini for my daughter, and the Apple store says it won't arrive by the 25th. Wasn't Joe Biden supposed to have fixed the supply chain crisis when he made the ports stay open 24/7?
I spoke with the CEOs, personally spoke with the CEOs of the major retailers, Walmart, Target, and the leading freight movers, FedEx and UPS. They assured me that the shelves will be stocked in stores this holiday.
But now he's singing a much different tune.
Now, I can't promise that every person will get every gift they want on time. Only Santa Claus can keep that promise.
Maybe I should just loot my gifts this Christmas. That's what the rest of the country's doing. Smash and grab thieves targeting stores from California to New York and everywhere in between. Does the White House even know that that's going on?
So when a huge group of criminals organizes themselves and they want to go loot a store, a CVS, a Nordstrom, a Home Depot, until the shelves are clean, you think that's because of the pandemic?
Yes.
That's their answer every time something goes wrong. Just blame the pandemic. I'm sure the gangs grabbing Louis Vuitton handbags think they're filled with monoclonal antibodies. No, Jen, they're likely out on bail from another crime spree. Another major problem Joe's not doing a damn thing about: bail reform. The Waukesha Christmas Parade attack left 6 people dead after Darrell Brooks Jr. purposely plowed his car into a crowd. A black nationalist and convicted sex offender with a felony rap sheet posted low bail twice this year after punching his girlfriend in the face and running her over with his car. Joe Biden dead silent on the Waukesha massacre, but wouldn't shut up about Kyle Rittenhouse last year. Disgraceful. Police officers that have been shot and killed in 2021 are at an all-time high. In almost every major city, murder rates are the highest they've been in 3 decades. Now Americans are loading up on guns at historic rates. Since Democrats aren't doing anything to protect them, they have to protect themselves. Not only is America violent, it's too expensive. Family is getting rocked by inflation and high gas prices, a vicious cycle the Biden team can't get us out of. After taking 2-month paternity leave, Mayor Pete now says if you're worried about gas prices, just buy an electric car.
There is more envisioned in the Build Back Better law. I'll give you one example. It contains incentives to make it more affordable to buy an electric vehicle for families thinking about getting an EV. Families that once they own that electric vehicle will never have to worry about gas prices again.
Hey, Pete, if you're having trouble paying $3.50 a gallon, you probably are going to have a lot more trouble paying $56,000 for an electric car. I don't think these people have any idea what the cost of living in America is today.
Just sit back and relax in this plush hammock.
Corey.
7,000. 7,000.
7,000? Actual retail price, $880.
Mayor Pete's now the odds-on favorite to win the 2024 Democrat nomination. The media's put Joe out to pasture already, and they're maneuvering Mayor Pete ahead of Kamala Harris. How weak of a bench do the Democrats have if these two are your best options? A white male intellectual who's openly gay versus a woman of color, neither of whom has shown any ability to win the black vote or the white working class vote. When they push Joe out, it's going to be an identity politics bloodbath that'll rip apart the Democrat base. Get the popcorn out. But for now, those two need to make it look like they love each other at least. Isn't that sweet? Hard to tell if that's actually Mayor Pete or just not one of those child actors Kamala likes to hire for PR purposes. And if Joe and his team ever need help, the time is now. This December, they need their press allies more than ever. Let's check in with constitutional scholar Joy Behar.
When the founding fathers were busy with the amendments, the First and Second Amendments did not have AR-15s in there, weapons of war, and they didn't have Twitter. So both amendments, I think, need to be tweaked a little bit. You know, we make our living on the First Amendment, so we love it. But there's a lot of hate speech and misinformation needs to be dealt with.
She's a talk show host who spews hate and misinformation, who wants to tweak the Constitution so she can't spew hate and misinformation. Joy Behar can't even be ironic without sounding like an idiot. And Joy is Joe's last line of defense. As they say down south, bless her heart.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.